assessment and interventions in working with individuals and families require a culture or ethnic sensitive perspective, which involves a theoretical framework and a set of practices that are sensitive to the cultural and ethnic background of the individuals and families being served. Some of the theories, frameworks, and perspectives that are relevant to culture or ethnic sensitive assessment and interventions. There are several theoretical frameworks and perspectives that are relevant to culture or ethnic sensitive assessment and interventions in working with individuals and families. To start with, cultural competence. This framework emphasizes the need for practitioners to understand and respect the cultural and ethnic background of the individuals and families they are working with. It involves developing knowledge, skills, and attitudes that promote effective communication and collaboration across cultural and ethnic boundaries. Moreover, multiculturalism. This perspective recognizes and values diversity in culture and ethnicity and seeks to promote equal access to resources and services for all individuals and families, regardless of their background. Third, intersectionality. This perspective recognizes that individuals and families have multiple identities that intersect and interact with one another, such as race, gender, sexual orientation, and socioeconomic status. Assessment and interventions need to take into account the complex and overlapping experiences of individuals and families. Fourth, family systems theory. This theory emphasizes the interconnectedness and interdependence of family members and how cultural and ethnic factors can influence family dynamics and relationships. Assessment and interventions need to involve the entire family unit and take into account the cultural and ethnic context in which the family operates. Fifth, social justice. This perspective recognizes the impact of social, economic, and political factors on individuals and families and seeks to promote equality and fairness in access to resources and services. Assessment and interventions need to address systemic barriers and inequalities that may affect individuals and families from different cultural and ethnic backgrounds. Sixth, person centered approach. This approach recognizes the uniqueness of each individual and their cultural and ethnic background. It involves a collaborative and empathic relationship between the practitioner and the individual or family, where the individual or family is actively involved in the assessment and intervention process. Lastly, narrative therapy. This approach focuses on the stories and experiences of individuals and families and how their cultural and ethnic background influences their narratives. It involves exploring and challenging dominant cultural narratives and promoting alternative narratives that are empowering and respectful of individuals and families' cultural and ethnic identities. These theoretical frameworks and perspectives provide a foundation for understanding and addressing the cultural and ethnic diversity of individuals and families in assessment and interventions. Practitioners who adopt a cultural or ethnic sensitive perspective are better equipped to provide effective and respectful services to individuals and families from diverse backgrounds.
So let's continue. We have here the cultural competence is a critical component in promoting effective communication and collaboration across cultural and ethnic boundaries in assessments and of course in interventions. So here are some reasons why cultural competence is important. So we have here the first one is it promotes respect. So what is respect? Well, according to our lolas and lolos, our ancestors, that respect is the highest form of etiquette. And in cultural competence, it involves in understanding and respecting the cultural and ethnic background of the individuals and families that the practitioners or the social worker are working with. So this promotes a sense of respect and as appreciation for diverse cultural and relationship between the practitioner and the individual or family. The next one is it enhances communication. So when we say communication, it involves talking and interacting towards other people or to your clients to be exact. So practitioners who are culturally competent are or able to communicate effectively with individuals and families from diverse cultural and ethnic background. In that sense, they are able to use appropriate language and communication styles that are respectful and relevant to the cultural and ethnic context. Also, it increases understanding. Practitioners who are culturally competent are more likely to understand the unique needs and experiences of individuals and families from diverse cultural and ethnic backgrounds. So this understanding promotes effective assessments and interventions that are relevant and responsive to the individual's or family's cultural and ethnic context. So the next one, it reduces bias. Of course, being a social worker must acquire a fair and square attitudes towards their clients because a cultural competence helps practitioners to recognize and reduce their own biases and assumptions about individuals and families from different culture and ethnic backgrounds. So, last is it increase access to services. Culturally competent practitioners are better able to provide services that are accessible and relevant to individuals and families from diverse cultural and ethnic backgrounds. So this promotes equal access to resources and services for all individuals and families, regardless of their background. To sum up and to conclude, cultural and competence is crucial and essential in promoting effective communication, and not just that, but also a collaboration across cultural and ethnic boundaries in assessments and interventions. So it promotes respect, enhances communication, increase understanding, reduces bias, and increase access to services for individuals and families from diverse cultural and ethnic background.
Cultural and ethnic factors can have a significant impact on family dynamics and relationships. Family systems theory is relevant in cultural or ethnic sensitive assessment and interventions because it provides a framework for understanding the complex interplay between cultural and ethnic factors and family dynamics. Here are some ways that cultural and ethnic factors can impact family dynamics and relationships. To start with, family values and beliefs. Cultural and ethnic values and beliefs can influence how families interact with one another, make decisions, and cope with stress. For example, in some cultures, family loyalty and collectivism are highly valued, while in others, individualism and independence are emphasized. Second, gender roles. Cultural and ethnic norms regarding gender roles can impact how family members interact with one another. For example, in some cultures, men are expected to be the primary breadwinners while women are responsible for child care and household duties. Third, communication style. Cultural and ethnic norms can influence how family members communicate with one another. For example, some cultures value direct communication while others prefer indirect communication. Fourth, parenting practices. Cultural and ethnic factors can impact parenting practices such as discipline strategies, expectation for children's behavior, and the importance of education. Family systems theory is relevant in culture or ethnic sensitive assessment and interventions because it recognizes the interconnectedness and interdependence of family members. Family systems theory emphasizes that changes in one family member or subsystem can have ripple effects on the entire family system. Therefore, assessment and interventions need to involve the entire family unit and take into account the cultural and ethnic context in which the family operates. Family systems theory also recognizes that families have unique cultural and belief systems that influence their behavior and interactions. Practitioners who are culturally sensitive are better able to understand and respect these unique cultures and belief systems and work framework for understanding the complex interplay between cultural and ethnic factors in family dynamics.
So we have here the intersectionality of cultural and ethnic factors with other aspects of individuals and families' identities is significant in assessments and interventions because it recognizes that individuals and families have multiple and intersecting identities that shape their experiences and perspective. So here are some examples of how cultural and ethnic factors intersect with other aspects of individuals and families' identities. The first is race and ethnicity. Race and ethnicity intersect with cultural and ethnic factors to shape individuals and families' experiences and perspectives. For example, an African American family may have a different experience of culture and ethnicity than a Nigerian family, even though they both identify as a black. So the second one is gender. Gender intersects with cultural and ethnic factors to shape individuals and families' experiences and perspectives. Why? Like, for example, a Latina woman may have different experiences of culture and ethnicity than a Latino man, even though they both identify as Hispanic. Also, sexual orientation. Sexual orientation intersects with cultural and ethnic factors to shape individuals and families' experiences and perspectives. Because, for example, an LGBTQ plus person from a conservative cultural background may have different experiences of culture and ethnicity than an LGBTQ plus person from a more accepting cultural background. So the next one is the socioeconomic status. So this also intersects with cultural and ethnic factors to shape individuals and families' experiences and perspectives. For example, a low-income Latino family may have different experiences of culture and ethnicity than a higher-income Latino family, even though they both identify as Hispanic. So the significance of recognizing the intersectionality of cultural and ethnic factors with other aspects of individuals and families' identities in assessments and intervention is that it promotes a more holistic, announced understanding of their experiences and needs. So, practitioners who are aware of the intersectionality of cultural and ethnic factors with other aspects of individuals and families' identities are better able to provide culturally responsive and relevant assessments and interventions that take into account the complex that interplay of factors shaping their whole experiences. So this can improve the effectiveness of interventions and increase the likelihood of positive outcomes for individuals and of course for the families.
Social justice plays a critical role in promoting equality and fairness in access to resources and services for individuals and families from diverse cultural and ethnic backgrounds. Social justice is a concept that emphasizes the fair and equitable distribution of resources, opportunities, and privileges in society, regardless of race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, or socioeconomic status. Here are some ways that social justice can promote equality and fairness in access to resources and services for individuals and families from diverse cultural and ethnic backgrounds. To start with, addressing systemic inequalities. Social justice requires addressing systemic inequalities that can result in disparities in access to resources and services for individuals and families from diverse cultural and ethnic backgrounds. This may involve addressing policies and practices that perpetuate inequalities in housing, education, healthcare, and employment. Second, Cultural competence. Social justice requires promoting cultural competence among practitioners and service providers to ensure that individuals and families from diverse cultural and ethnic backgrounds have access to resources that are culturally responsive and relevant to their unique experiences and needs. Third, advocacy. Social justice requires advocating for the rights of individuals and families from diverse cultural and ethnic backgrounds, including access to resources and services that promote their well being and quality of life. Lastly, collaboration. Social justice requires collaboration between individuals, families, communities, and organizations to promote equality and fairness in access to resources and services for individuals and families from diverse cultural and ethnic backgrounds. The role of social justice in promoting equality and fairness in access to resources and services for individuals and families from diverse cultural and ethnic backgrounds is essential for creating a more just and equitable society. Practitioners and service providers who promote social justice can contribute to the well being and empowerment of individuals and families from diverse cultural and ethnic backgrounds by ensuring they have access to the resources and services they need to thrive. By addressing systemic inequalities, promoting cultural competence, advocating for rights, and fostering collaboration, social justice can help to create a more inclusive and equitable society for all. In summary, social justice plays a critical role in promoting equality and fairness in access to resources and services for individuals and families from diverse cultural and ethnic backgrounds. Practitioners and service providers who promote social justice can contribute to the well being and empowerment of individuals and families by ensuring that they have access to resources and services they need to thrive. Social justice requires addressing systemic inequalities, promoting competence, advocating for rights, and fostering collaboration.
And now, we have here the practice model based on cultural awareness. So, as you can see on the screen, these are the four modes of social work intervention, which Green suggests that social workers assume an important role as boundary mediators because of the role they play in communication and also in information and the regulation of resources. So, the importance of recognizing the issue as it is being experienced by the client, the terminology used to describe an issue is the presence of native support systems and also the client centered standards for determining if a good resolution has been reached. So the idea of ethnic competence, which relates to a person's to a high level of cross cultural sensitivity that goes beyond the typical characteristics of social worker client interactions or relationships. It is a method of operation that is consistent with the actions of people from different ethnic, um, what we call this, groupings. Now, let us proceed to the A paradigm for community work with people of color, which has been organized by Rivera and Ehrlich in 1992. So, the community intervention is seen as having three levels. What are those? The primary level is the most intimate, requiring a worker with full ethnic solidarity with the community. So the secondary level is one step removed from the primary and consists of contact and influence. And the tertiary task may be accomplished by an outsider working for the common interest of the community. So, cultural or racial identity is not a requirement. Rather, the work is with outside infrastructures in roles of advocate and broker for the community of color. This review of the practice literature suggests a range of approaches to modifying prototypical behavioral repertoires that are in keeping with the needs and disposition of the persons to whom service is provided. So, nevertheless, a series of ethnic sensitive adaptations have been suggested. So, recognizing the primacy of institutional and systemic forces, emphasizing systems change or institutional change approaches, and exercising great caution and sensitivity before